Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to Final Trade. We're going to have our May Flesh and Blood sales data review with data scraped off of TCG Player. First up this month, welcome to Wraith Unlimited, Arcane Rising Unlimited, and Crucible War Unlimited. I have set this to show the last 3 months of data because I just want to illustrate how prices of these boxes hit their peaks in mid-April and have pulled back since then. So about 7 weeks ago, they hit their peak and they've pulled back just a little since then. Now, the month-over-month data table, as I show every month, April box sales versus May box sales, and then the percent difference between the two. April's average box sale price, May's average box sale price, and the percent difference between the two. And then I just multiply them together for the total revenue. And what you're going to see on all of these this month is the sales are down. Some of them more than others, some drastically, some just a little bit, but sales of all of these Flesh and Blood box products are down on TCG Player this month. And this is something I've been talking about for a little while, something that I've kind of expected. It's that Wizards of the Coast is bringing out the Lord of the Rings set and then the Commander Master set later this summer. They're going to be great sets, and they're going to pull people's attention away from Flesh and Blood and away from Pokemon, and not just on the player and collector side, but maybe more critically to immediate price moves on the investor side, because we saw a lot last year of Magic investors partially, or in some dramatic cases completely, turning their back on Magic and reallocating money over to Flesh and Blood and Pokemon. Players did it too. They started spending more of their money over on Flesh and Blood because they were so fed up with Magic at the time. I expect some of that to reverse. I have no idea how much will reverse, but this lineup of products from Wizards of the Coast this summer is very, very strong, and I think that's the explanation of why we see these percent drops in box sales month over month from April to May, and you're going to see it on the rest of these products here. Moving on to Monarch First Edition, Tales of Aria First Edition, and Everfest First Edition. Not as dramatic with Tales of Aria and Everfest because those are a little more recent products, but you can see Monarch First Edition hit its peak there mid-April and has kind of bounced off of it since then. Looking at the month-over-month data, box sales of all three are down. Now, interestingly, Monarch First Edition box sales are only down 7%. Some of that is because, well, Monarch's a little bit older than Tales of Aria First and Everfest First, and also because Dusk Till Dawn, using some of the same mechanics as Monarch, incentivizing people to go back and pick up more Monarch. Now, you see the prices here, very flat, 7% up on Tales of Aria First Edition, 5% down on Monarch First Edition. Not much interesting going on there, just that the sales overall were down. Quickly, History Pack Volume 1. You see the price has fallen, and I wonder if that has more to do with the release of print numbers than anything else that Legend Story Studios put out recently. And the month-over-month table, minus 66% on the box sales. Month-over-month went from almost 150 down to about 50 from April to May. But again, the price was flat. So I think this is just people reallocating their money to different things. And we'll take the last 3 sets to release, and we'll take the month-over-month table. Now, the interesting thing about this, before we specifically talk about the month-over-month table, is the prices. And this is the kind of price action you expect to see on a 3-month timeline for the more recent sets. And, of course, Uprising came out about a year ago now, Dynasty a little more recently, and then Outsiders the most recent one. And you expect with the newer sets for the price to decay not long after they come out. Because remember, these are still technically in print and available and being used for play. So you expect that as these age, their popularity will fall until some point where they go out of print and the supply starts to tighten. That's just the natural expansion life cycle that I talk about all the time on this channel. Box sales for all 3 were down. Outsiders down 51%. Yeah, that hurts. But again, prices were very, very flat. Not much movement in prices. And I want to come over here and set this to 100 days post-release. So I just want to take Dynasty versus Outsiders because that's the one we were really interested in. And so what I've done with the horizontal axis here now is set it to the, I've lined up the release date of both of these sets. And so what we're looking at is days since release for both sets respectively to see how they each did in their own life cycle if you put them on the same relative timeline. And something here that I don't like is Outsiders has lost ground to Dynasty. and it's lost ground consistently over about the last 10 weeks. And that's not good to see. That the sales were very high for the first couple of weeks after the expansion came out, which you expect to see, but then the ongoing sales have been at a slower rate than they were for Dynasty. So I don't like to see that, but again, I'm expecting it to go on the rest of the summer because of the strong offerings from Wizards of the Coast in the Lord of the Rings and the Commander Masters expansions. I think that if you're an investor in Flesh and Blood, this is a great time. You're probably going to have most of the summer to slowly nibble as prices just kind of mill around in these areas. I don't expect a lot of price movement up or down over the course of the summer, and it will be a great time to just slowly add to your positions. And, looking at the prices of these boxes on TCG Player today, the current prices are higher than my average buy price that I've paid for all of it that I've put back in the closet. But even so, I'll probably still nibble a little more over the course of this summer because I'm not going to FOMO into Lord of the Rings or Commander Masters too early. I'm going to wait and let the market do their thing, let the expansion life cycle bring them down a little bit first. So sales have slowed down predictably. Probably some of that large swing towards Flesh and Blood that we saw last year from both players and investors, some of that's going to be predictably swinging back towards WotC now that it's somewhat gotten things under control, showed a little bit of success so far in the first half of this year, and I expect that to continue. So, I still get crazy comments from people once in a while about how they're just not sure that Flesh and Blood's going to make it, and I just think, imagine it being 2023, Flesh and Blood's about to release its 10th expansion, it's had dozens of world-level tournaments, and you still think it's just going to fold up and fail here? No. Flesh and Blood's a fine investment. It's going to be around for a long time. And, the biggest long-term thing that I see, which is what I always focus on in investing, what are the long-term effects that have the most accumulated impact over time? It's the management of Legend Story Studios. It's that they can make good decisions. They will change the course when they need to, and they have been executing very competently for a long time. And so before Flesh and Blood would ever have a chance to fail, that type of management philosophy would first have to change, and then the accumulated detrimental effects of that change would have to have time to destroy the game. And it's not going to happen on any type of short time period. So, but I know someone will be in the comments here to try to convince me once again that Flesh and Blood is just around the corner from folding up and no one will ever play it again. So good luck with that. So I'll do this again next month, as I have every month for, almost 18 months now. I've been doing these monthly Flesh and Blood sales data videos from TCG Player. Subscribe to the channel to get them and all the rest of my TCG investing content. Otherwise, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Join me on Final Trade. Thanks a lot.